é o autor do livro Armadilhas da Identidade, que está sendo publicado agora pela editora Vêneta. Meu nome é Alexandre, eu sou psicólogo, doutor em saúde coletiva e estou com...
Meu nome é Budarris, sou sociólogo e cientista político. E a gente há algum tempo vem desenvolvendo algumas discussões sobre o Brasil, alguns já devem ter visto nas redes sociais.
Asad, a gente gostaria de perguntar para você qual foi o início da sua militância.
I became directly interested in politics after the September 11th attacks and the militaristic response and the movement against the war in Iraq, 2001-2003. I was coming to it with the perspective of someone who had roots outside of the United States, outside of the First World, and in fact in the Muslim world. And it was clear to me that the dominant discourse completely failed to represent what was taking place. It failed to represent the fact of American imperialism. I became involved in politics through this, and it led me to discover Marxism. And for some time, this meant not being involved in politics because there was no organized expression in the United States. But eventually, with the Occupy movement, the idea of class struggle came forward again, and at this point, I had a second stage of involvement in politics, which brings me up to the present.
Eu queria que você explicasse para a gente essa transição histórica entre o conceito de identidade, como você está citando, o movimento feminista das mulheres negras, os panteras negras, para o identitarismo como se fala hoje, né, que vai mais para uma visão de direita. Se você puder traçar essa história, e clarear um pouco, você trabalha muito nisso no livro.
So I think that there is a big difference between the movements in the past against racism, also against sexism and so on. I focus on movements against racism in my book. The difference between those movements, especially from the 50s through the 70s, is that they were mass movements aimed to transform the social structure. And these movements made many major victories, but also they were decomposed. The mass movements were broken apart. And in this situation of defeat for mass movements and the loss of the vision that it is possible to transform the whole of society, you had the idea of individual identities as the basic unit of politics. And so opposing racism became a matter of the recognition of your identity rather than a collective movement to transform the whole of society. This is the difference I see. And for this reason, I think that we cannot use the word identity to refer to the movements of the past, to the mass movements. It is a term which is far more about individual recognition, whereas to oppose racism and call for collective transformation, I think the word identity does not capture that.
Nos fala pouco das suas referências teóricas. Assim. Você usa muito Althusser, Badiou, você tem outros assim?
In my reading of Marxism, I was very influenced by French Marxism, the circle around Althusser. Badiou I include as one person in that constellation. And I was also influenced very much by Italian Marxism, what operaismo. And
Negri,
yeah,
Marconti.
And Sergio Bologna. What interested me about them when I first began to read about them is that they were fascinated by the American black movements, the labor movement and so on.
Black Montrose.
Yeah, and even earlier. And so Ferruccio Gambino, one of these figures, he wrote a very interesting article about Malcolm X, some original research from the FBI files and so on. He wrote about W.E.B. Du Bois. So these were very important for me in determining what Marxism was. I don't know what the reception is of Althusser in Brazil. In the Anglophone world, he starts the most horrible arguments and back and forth. It's not, but it's because people don't read the texts. You have to read them, and then you see what the importance is. I think those, in terms of reading Marxism, are very important, but also the black movements in the U.S. When they turn towards Marxism, I think they're very significant. And some of these thinkers, W.E.B. Du Bois is one, also back the black members of the Communist Party. I quote one here in Haywood in the book. Black members of the Communist Party split off and founded other organizations in the 50s and 60s. These are very interesting and very important. And so, as I said, in the case of Italy, it was when Marxists recognized why, for example, black nationalism was so politically significant in the United States. I thought this is a theoretical line we must follow. Because if you look at figures like Lenin and others, classical Marxism, they were very interested in oppressed nationalities and how the struggles of oppressed nationalities fit into the program for world revolution. Many Marxists fail to recognize this, both internationally and in the case of the United States. I think it's very important to recognize. So that is a theoretical difference for me as well.
É que na primeira parte da tua resposta você citou autores franceses, europeus, italianos. A origem do identitarismo na Europa foram movimentos territoriais de extrema-direita, anti-imigração. Mas no seu livro, quando você fala da origem do identitarismo, você dá uma outra contextualização. Eu queria saber se você consegue ver algum paralelo entre as duas lógicas, norte-americana e europeia, ou não, elas são distintas?
I don't know why there's the difference. It could be an accident of the history of political terminology. But I do think that it's very important to see how the word can drift into meaning what seems to be its opposite. The fact that identitarianism and identity in Europe signify national identity, hatred of foreigners. I mean, I think this is part of what identity means. And that's why it's a dangerous term. To take it up on the left, I think, is dangerous, because what is so vicious about identitarianism, right-wing identitarianism as is expressed in Europe, is that it is a politics which attempts to separate and to create an identity which is based on casting others out. And this can never be the basis of a left politics, which is a politics which is for all. If you exclude someone, if the left movement does not attack racism and sexism, then you are allowing these structures to exclude people. It is not a politics that is for all. People think that universalism is the universalism of white men, and it means leaving out the groups. It's not universal by definition. And so I think that we have to take a lesson and see that identity is dangerous.